came home earlier than planned from a business trip because my flight got canceled. When I walked into my bedroom at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon, I discovered my wife in bed with my boss. The next morning, I walked straight into HR carrying video evidence, saved text messages, and a formal written complaint. By noon that same day, my boss had been terminated. My wife had already been served with divorce papers, and I was sitting inside the CEO's office discussing both a promotion and a settlement designed to prevent a potential lawsuit. Sometimes the most satisfying kind of revenge isn't shouting or fighting. Sometimes it's simply making sure that every person involved is forced to face the consequences of their own decisions. My name is Marcus Holloway. I'm 36 years old, and I had been married to my wife Vanessa for 8 years. We didn't have any children. We had been trying for a couple of years without success, which had slowly placed pressure on our marriage and created tension neither of us talked about openly. I worked as a senior project manager at a tech consulting firm in the city. Vanessa worked as a marketing coordinator for a separate company across town. My boss, Derek Vaughn, was 42 years old and had been my direct supervisor for the past 3 years. We had always maintained what I believed was a solid professional relationship. I respected him and often looked to him for guidance when navigating difficult projects. We had even spent time together socially. Derek and his wife had visited our house for dinner twice, and Vanessa and I had been invited to their place once as well. I trusted him completely. I viewed him as both a supervisor and a mentor. Looking back now, I realize how incredibly naive I was. Everything came crashing down 2 weeks ago. I had originally been scheduled to travel to Chicago for a 3-day client meeting. I left Monday morning with plans to return Thursday evening. Tuesday night, however, the client experienced a family emergency and abruptly canceled the remaining meetings scheduled for Wednesday. Rather than sit around in a hotel doing nothing, my team decided it made more sense to fly home early. Around 8 o'clock Tuesday night, I sent Vanessa a text message. Client canceled tomorrow, flying home in the morning. Should be back by 2 p.m. She didn't reply, but that didn't concern me. Vanessa often went to sleep early during the work week. Wednesday morning, I caught a 6 o'clock flight and landed back in town around 1:30 in the afternoon. I grabbed an Uber from the airport and headed home. The driver dropped me off at our house at 2:05 p.m. Vanessa's car was parked in the driveway. But there was another vehicle there too. A black Mercedes SUV that I recognized immediately. It belonged to Derek. The sight of it made my stomach drop instantly. I tried to convince myself there might be a reasonable explanation. Maybe he needed to drop off work documents. Maybe there was some last-minute project emergency. Maybe he had stopped by for something completely innocent. But deep down, before I even stepped out of the car, I already knew the truth. I unlocked the front door quietly and stepped inside the house. Everything seemed unusually quiet. No television noise, no voices, nothing. For a few seconds, I wondered if they had already left. Then I heard it. From upstairs. From my bedroom. Sounds I recognized immediately. Sounds that made my blood run cold. I slowly walked up the staircase, each step feeling heavier than the last, my heart pounding louder with every movement. When I reached the hallway, I saw the bedroom door slightly open. I pushed it wider and looked inside. My wife was in our bed, the bed we had bought together 5 years earlier, the bed we had slept in every night since. And she was with my boss. They were so focused on each other that they didn't even notice me standing there in the doorway. For a moment, I just stared, my brain struggling to process what my eyes were seeing. Then I pulled my phone out of my pocket and started recording. I filmed for about 30 seconds, making sure their faces were clearly visible and that there could be absolutely no doubt about what was happening. The video captured everything I would need. After that, I cleared my throat loudly. Vanessa turned her head instantly. Her expression shifted from pleasure to shock to complete panic in less than 2 seconds. "Marcus, you're not supposed to be home until Thursday." "I know," I replied calmly. "Client canceled, flying home in the morning. Should be back by 2 p.m. Derek quickly scrambled off the bed, grabbing the sheet to cover himself. His face had turned bright red. "Marcus, this isn't—" "Isn't what, Derek?" I interrupted. isn't you sleeping with my wife in my bed, because that's exactly what it looks like. I raised my phone slightly so they could see the recording still running. I have video evidence, I have timestamps, I have everything I need. Vanessa immediately began crying. Marcus, please, we can talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. You've been having an affair with my boss in our house, in our bed. It was a mistake, she said. How long? I asked. Neither of them answered right away. They looked at each other, then quickly looked away. How long have you been sleeping with my wife, Derek? Marcus, let me explain. How long? 6 months, Vanessa whispered quietly. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Half a year of betrayal happening behind my back. Get dressed, I told Derek. Get out of my house and start looking for a new job, because tomorrow morning I'm walking into HR with this video. His face immediately turned pale. You can't do that. I absolutely can. You're my supervisor, and you've been involved with your subordinate's wife. That's a fireable offense. Sexual harassment, abusive authority, hostile work environment. Take your pick. Marcus, please, get out. Derek got dressed quickly without making eye contact with me. As he headed toward the door, he attempted to say something to Vanessa, but I stepped directly in front of him. Don't. He left without another word, practically rushing down the stairs and out of the house. I turned back toward Vanessa. She was still sitting in the bed, wrapped in the sheets, crying. Get up and pack a bag, I said. Marcus, please, we need to talk. We don't need to do anything. You cheated on me with my boss for 6 months. You brought him into our home, into our bed. There's nothing left to talk about. I'm sorry, I made a terrible mistake. 6 months isn't a mistake. It's a series of choices. Every message you sent him, every time you invited him into this house, every moment you spent with him in our bed, those were all choices. I never meant to hurt you, but you did. Now pack a bag and leave. Go stay with your mother. Go stay at a hotel. I don't care, but you're not staying here tonight. This is my house too, she argued weakly. Then we'll sell it during the divorce, I said, but tonight you're leaving. She got dressed while crying the entire time. I stood in the doorway while she packed a bag, making sure she didn't try to take anything that wasn't hers. When she reached the door, she turned back toward me. Where are you going? She asked. To see a lawyer, and tomorrow morning I'm going to HR. Marcus, please don't do this. Derek has a wife and kids. You'll destroy his life. He should have thought about that before he got involved with my wife. She left the house, still crying. I stood alone in the bedroom that suddenly felt contaminated and foreign, trying to process everything that had just happened. My wife had been betraying me with my boss for 6 months, using our home and our bed, and I had been completely unaware. I felt humiliated, betrayed, angry beyond words. I stripped the sheets off the bed, threw them straight into the trash, and spent the night sleeping in the guest room. The next morning, Thursday, I woke up at 6 o'clock. I had barely slept, but I already knew exactly what I was going to do. First, I called a divorce attorney. I explained the situation and sent him the video I had recorded. This is clear evidence of adultery, he told me. You have a very strong case. Do you want to file immediately? Yes, I said. I want her served today if possible. I'll have the paperwork ready by noon. After that, I went to work. I arrived at 8 o'clock, before most employees had even arrived. I went directly to HR. Our HR director, Patricia Williams, was already at her desk when I knocked on the door. Marcus, you're back early. How was Chicago? Can I speak with you privately? I asked. It's urgent. Her expression immediately changed. Of course, come in. I closed the door and sat down across from her. I need to file a formal complaint against Derek Vaughn. Patricia raised her eyebrows slightly. Your supervisor? What's the nature of the complaint? He's been having an affair with my wife for 6 months. I caught them yesterday in my home. I recorded video. Her face immediately went pale. You have video evidence? Yes. I came home early from Chicago and found them in my bedroom. I recorded video before confronting them. I can show it to you if necessary.
"Yes," she said quietly. "I need to see the evidence to proceed." I took out my phone and showed her the recording. I had edited the clip slightly to remove explicit parts while leaving their faces clearly visible. Patricia watched the video silently, her expression growing increasingly disturbed. "This was taken yesterday, right?" "Yes, around 2:10 p.m., in my house, in my bed." "And you're certain this is Derek Vaughn?" "Positive." She leaned back in her chair, looking shaken. "Marcus, I'm so sorry. This is completely unacceptable. Derek is your direct supervisor. This creates a hostile work environment and represents a clear abuse of authority." "I know. That's why I'm filing a formal complaint. I want him investigated and terminated." "We'll need to conduct an investigation, but with this video evidence, it should be straightforward. I need to escalate this to the CEO immediately." "Good. I also want to be clear about something. If Derek isn't terminated, I will be filing a lawsuit for sexual harassment and hostile work environment." Patricia nodded. "Understood. Let me make some calls. Can you wait here?" "Yes." She left the office, and I sat there waiting, my heart pounding. About 20 minutes later, she returned with the CEO, Richard. "Marcus," Richard said as he shook my hand, "Patricia briefed me on the situation. I'm sorry for what you're going through. Can you show me the evidence?" I played the video again. Richard's jaw tightened as he watched. "This is unacceptable. Derek Vaughn is terminated effective immediately. Security will escort him out as soon as he arrives." "Thank you. I also want you to know that we take matters like this very seriously. Derek's actions are a direct violation of our company's conduct policies and harassment guidelines. You had every right to bring this forward, and we support you fully." "I appreciate that." "Patricia will complete the formal investigation, but given the evidence, I don't expect complications. Derek will be terminated for cause, which means he will not receive a severance package." "Good." Richard paused for a moment before continuing. "Marcus, I know this is a difficult situation for you personally. If you need time off, we can arrange that. But I also want to discuss your future here at the company. Derek's position will now be vacant. You are the most qualified person on the team to step into that role. I'd like to offer you the director position with a significant salary increase." I blinked in surprise. "You're offering me Derek's job?" "Yes, your performance has been excellent for years. You deserve the promotion, and frankly, it's the least we can do given what you've been through." "Thank you. I accept." "Good. We'll finalize the details next week. For now, take the rest of the day off. Go home."
"Take care of yourself. We'll handle Derek." I left the office feeling surreal. In the span of 24 hours, I'd caught my wife cheating, filed for divorce, reported my boss to HR, and gotten promoted. I went home and waited. At 11:30 a.m., my attorney called. "Divorce papers are ready. Where should we serve your wife?" "She's staying with her mother." I gave him the address. "We'll have her served by end of day." At 2 p.m., I got a call from Patricia at HR. "Marcus, I wanted to update you. Derek arrived at work this morning. Security escorted him out. He's been officially terminated. He tried to argue, but we showed him the video evidence, and he left without further incident." "Thank you. I also want you to know that we will be conducting exit interviews with your team to ensure there are no other issues, and Richard wants to meet with you Monday to discuss your new role." "Sounds good." At 4 p.m., Vanessa called. "I was just served with divorce papers." "I know. Marcus, please, can we talk about this?" "There's nothing to talk about." "I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Can't we try to work through this?" "You bombed my boss for 6 months? In our home? In our bed? There's no working through that." "It didn't mean anything." "Then why did you do it for 6 months?" "I don't know. I was confused. Derek paid attention to me, made me feel special." "So this is my fault because I didn't make you feel special enough?" "No, that's not what I mean." "It sounds like exactly what you mean. You're trying to justify your affair by blaming me." "I'm not. I'm just trying to explain." "I don't care about your explanations. I care that you betrayed me, and now you're facing the consequences." "What consequences? What did you do?" "I filed a complaint with HR. Derek was fired this morning." Silence. "Then you got him fired?" "Yes, he was my supervisor, having an affair with my wife. That's a fireable offense."
Marcus, he has a family, a wife and kids. How could you do that to them? How could he do that to them? He's the one who chose to have an affair. He's the one who risked his job and his family. I just made sure he faced the consequences. You're vindictive. I'm holding people accountable. There's a difference. His wife called me. She's devastated. She's filing for divorce too. Good. She deserves to know the truth. You've destroyed 2 marriages. No, you and Derek destroyed 2 marriages. I just made sure everyone knew about it. She hung up. Over the next few weeks, the fallout was extensive. Derek's wife, Jennifer, filed for divorce. She called me once to thank me for exposing the affair. She said, "I suspected something was wrong, but I didn't have proof. Your video gave me everything I needed. Thank you for that." I'm sorry you had to go through this. Me too, but at least now I know the truth. Vanessa tried multiple times to reconcile. She sent long emails apologizing, explaining that she'd been going through a difficult time and had made terrible choices. I didn't respond to any of them. My attorney handled all communication. The divorce moved forward quickly. With video evidence of adultery, Vanessa had no leverage. We had no kids, so custody wasn't an issue. We split assets 60-40 in my favor due to her adultery. The house was sold and proceeds divided the same way. Vanessa tried to argue that she deserved more because she'd sacrificed her career for our marriage, but that was laughable. She'd always worked full-time and made decent money. The judge wasn't sympathetic. "Mrs. Holloway, you engaged in a 6-month affair with your husband's supervisor that demonstrates poor judgment and a lack of respect for your marriage. I'm awarding Mr. Holloway a favorable settlement." At work, I transitioned into Derek's old role. My team was supportive. Most of them had suspected something was going on between Derek and Vanessa, but hadn't known how to bring it up. We saw them at lunch together a few times. One colleague told me, "It seemed weird, but we thought maybe it was work-related." It wasn't. We're glad you reported him. What he did was completely inappropriate. The company conducted a full investigation and found that Derek had also been having an inappropriate relationship with a junior employee on another team. That woman filed her own complaint, and the company settled with her to avoid a lawsuit. Derek's reputation in the industry was destroyed. Word spread quickly about why he'd been fired. He struggled to find new work. Vanessa's life fell apart too. Her mother was ashamed of her. Her friends took my side once they learned the truth. She moved to a different city to start fresh. 6 months after catching them, the divorce was finalized. I got the settlement I wanted. Derek was unemployed and going through his own messy divorce. Vanessa was living in a studio apartment 3 states away, and I was thriving. New position, significant raise, respect from my colleagues, and the satisfaction of knowing I'd handled everything correctly. A year after the discovery, I ran into Derek at a coffee shop. He looked terrible, thinner, older, defeated. "Marcus," he said quietly. "Derek, can we talk?" "I don't think that's a good idea. Please, just 2 minutes." I sighed. "Fine, 2 minutes." We sat at a corner table. "I want to apologize," Derek said. "What I did was unforgivable. I betrayed your trust. I abused my position. I destroyed my own family. I'm sorry." "Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Derek? That I forgive you? I don't. What you did was despicable. You were my boss, my mentor. I trusted you, and you were bombing my wife. I know. I was selfish. I was stupid. I threw away everything for an affair that meant nothing. Then why did you do it? I don't know. Vanessa was attractive, available, interested. It started innocently. We ran into each other at a coffee shop near your house. We talked. It felt good. Then we started meeting for coffee regularly. Then it became more. For 6 months? Yes, I'm not making excuses. I knew it was wrong. I did it anyway. And now you're paying the price? Yes, I lost my job, my wife, my kids barely speak to me. I can't find work in the industry. Everyone knows what I did. Good. You should face consequences for your actions.
Do you really believe that? That I deserve to lose everything? Yes, you made choices. You knew the risks. You did it anyway. Now you live with the consequences. What about forgiveness? What about second chances? You want forgiveness? Ask your ex-wife. Ask your kids. Don't ask me. I'm trying to rebuild my life. That's not my problem. You destroyed your own life. Now you have to figure out how to fix it. I stood up to leave. Marcus, wait, one more thing. What? Vanessa, she's struggling too. She calls me sometimes. She regrets everything. I don't care. She still loves you. She has a funny way of showing it, by effing my boss for 6 months. She made a mistake. Stop calling it a mistake. It was a choice. Multiple choices over 6 months. She chose to betray me. She chose to destroy our marriage, and now she's living with the consequences. You're a hard man, Marcus. No, I'm just someone who believes actions have consequences. You and Vanessa wanted to have your affair. Fine, but you don't get to avoid the fallout. I left him sitting there. 2 years after catching them, my life is completely different. I'm in a new relationship with a woman named Claire who's honest, loyal, and nothing like Vanessa. I'm excelling in my career. I bought a new house, no contaminated memories. Vanessa is still in another state, still struggling. She reached out once through a mutual friend asking if we could talk. I declined. Derek is working at a much smaller company for half his previous salary. His ex-wife has primary custody of their kids. His reputation never recovered. Some people said I went too far, that I should have handled the affair privately, not reported Derek to HR, that I destroyed his career out of revenge. But those people didn't come home early and find their spouse in bed with their boss. They didn't experience the betrayal of someone they trusted professionally and personally. They didn't have to work under someone who was effing their wife. Derek didn't just have an affair with Vanessa. He created a hostile work environment. He abused his position of power. He put me in an impossible situation. Either quit my job or continue working for the man who was sleeping with my wife. So yes, I reported him to HR. Yes, I provided video evidence. Yes, I made sure he was fired. And I don't regret it for a second. Because at the end of the day, Derek and Vanessa made their choices. They chose to have an affair. They chose to use my home. They chose to betray me. I just made sure they faced the consequences. Some people call that revenge. I call it accountability. And sometimes the best revenge is just making sure everyone knows the truth. I caught my cheating wife in our bed with my boss. The next morning, I walked into HR with evidence. By noon, my boss was fired. My wife was served with divorce papers, and I was negotiating a promotion. Justice isn't always about revenge. Sometimes it's just about making sure people face the consequences of their actions. And Derek and Vanessa faced every single consequence they deserved.